there is a vaccine that's highly effective that we get out to the world population. We'll understand by this summer, we'll see, because they're going into humans now, we'll see if they get this strong antibody response. So even a year from now, if everything went perfectly, because we're backing 10 of the leading constructs, I've been saying 18 months, but some of these vaccines are ahead of that schedule.
Now, we're all familiar with the fact that this is what is going to be involved here with the mandatory vax with ID 2020. We've all heard about it. Again, I will be discussing it in a video soon. Here is the second thing from Mr. or Mrs. Gates, depending on what your beliefs are in this thing. But Gates openly talks about calling this pandemic 1, the thing that's going on right now, and how he's ready for pandemic 2, which is coming soon, and what pandemic 2 is going to be. And get ready for this predictive programming.
You tried to warn us about this pandemic, and we didn't listen. What's the next thing you're warning us about that's going to happen 5 years from now that we're not listening to at the present?
Well, the idea of a bioterrorist attack is kind of the nightmare scenario, because they're a pathogen with a high death rate would be picked. Now, the good news is, I'm not trying to depress you, most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
Most of the work we'll do to be ready for that are also the things we need to do to minimize the threat of bioterrorism.
So out of the mouth of the guy who has already forecasted what's going on now, who's already used predictive programming to tell us that this was going to occur, along with Fauci, along with all these people in the WHO and the CDC, they've all come out and said, for years that it was coming, right? And we've seen the predictive programming in movies. Now Gates is openly telling us that the fear is, and what he's ready for, is phase 2 to be a bioweapon. Now, this is planned. This is predictive programming. There will not be, yes, technically right now what's going on is nothing, right? In the sense, did bioweapons actually exist? Yes, they do. They do. So what you could foresee happening here is more division amongst nations, right, to bring in a one world nation, right? We're already hearing the rumblings that there's people in the alt-right who think that this is real and think it was sent from China as a bio attack on us. This is the easiest narrative that people are jumping onto who believe in conspiracy, but they don't want to believe that everything that's going on isn't real, even though the CDC is openly telling doctors to put, the cause of death on every certificate as the C-19, but people still would rather believe that it's some type of attack from another country. Well, here comes your predictive programming for it, telling us this in advance, right? That the fear is that another country's going to do this, the rumblings between nations, right? And what's going to end up happening here with Trump. Many people, we've seen predictive programming in articles, and even Gates and other people have talked about in articles that they've written themselves for certain publications, saying that the fear is after this, if this passes, that Trump is going to throw a cold shoulder to all the other countries because he's going to believe that somebody sent it over here deliberately as a bio attack, which is going to cause more friction between nations and to cause U.S. to shut down its policies with other nations and to be independent on its own, to close up its borders, all that kind of stuff, right? And then you have Gates coming out saying his fear is that this type of an attack is going to occur. It'll be perfect. It'll be a perfect storm. It'll be a perfect blend of people who already have the paranoia that they created from this the first time around to them, whether or not they actually use a real one, because they have the technology to do it, okay? They have the technology to send bioweapons. We know that. That's the silent war has been going on for a long time. Through chemtrailing, through Plum Island, sending the Center of Disease Control, sending out Lyme's disease and other diseases from their island, getting flat out caught doing so, and then having to relocate. And now they're relocated in the middle of where all our food is produced. What a coincidence. I'm sure that wasn't done on purpose. But think about if there was an actual bio attack and this occurs again in phase 2 or in pandemic 2, as Gates says. It would be coming directly from ourselves, from within. That's what people don't get. All of these things come from within. All of these nations are globalists working together, okay? All you have to do is look to scripture. Let me read this to you out of the book of Genesis, Genesis 11. And the whole earth was of one language and one speech. Sound familiar of what they're trying to do? You've seen